Welcome to Whispers of the Night. I'm so glad you're here. Wherever you are, whatever kind of day you've had, you've arrived at a quiet place now, a place made just for you. The world may have moved quickly today, but in this moment, we slow it all down. Tonight, we're going to take a journey through soft fields, sleepy windowsills, quiet moonlight, and ancient footsteps, guided by a gentle cat named Celine, and the soothing rhythm of science, nature, and stillness. Let your body soften, let your breath slow, let your thoughts drift like dandelion seeds on twilight wind. You don't need to do anything, just listen, just rest, and in time, the light will carry you into sleep. Let's begin by relaxing your body. Gently close your eyes, or let your gaze soften on something quiet nearby. Feel the weight of your body wherever you are, sinking into the bed, the pillow, the moment. Take a slow, deep breath, and then another, just a little softer. Let the breath carry you inward, not upward, not outward, just down, like sinking through layers of moss, through silk, through time. Imagine your feet releasing the day. Imagine your shoulders softening, like water flowing downhill. The mind may still wander, and that's okay. We aren't here to force stillness, just to invite it. Every breath brings you closer to peace. With each exhale, a little more of the world drifts away. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is no one else you need to be. You are enough. And this moment, right here, right now, is a quiet place made for your rest. Cozy bedtime story. The Cat Who Collected Moonlight. The cat who belonged to the night. You see her first, where the cobbled path meets the edge of the garden, a curve of fur and silence. She does not startle, and she does not stare. She simply exists, in the way a shadow might slip beneath a fence, or how mist might cling to a fence post in early spring. She is the sort of cat who does not need to be seen to be felt. Her coat is a quiet dusk, not black, but the color of shadows right before night. She glides rather than walks, tail trailing behind her like the stroke of a calligrapher's brush. Somewhere far off, a church bell calls the hour, soft and echoing, like a memory that doesn't quite know where it belongs. You find your breath has slowed without your noticing. Your thoughts, too, have stopped rushing. There is something about her presence that silences urgency. She does not chase, and she does not hurry. In her pace, you sense the rhythms of something older, something tuned to the turning of the earth and the silent passing of clouds overhead. The village around you settles into the hush of evening. Chimney smoke drifts upward in blue-gray spirals, mingling with the first cool sighs of nighttime air. Windows blink into glow, one by one, like stars being gently lit from within. You hear the rustle of leaves, the click of a latch, the faint trickle of a stream winding past sleepy stone walls, and still, the cat walks. Cats, you recall, are crepuscular by nature, most active during twilight hours. Scientists believe this timing once gave them an edge, both as predator and prey. Dawn and dusk paint the world in soft gradients, blurring the lines between what moves and what waits. And for a hunter tuned to subtle motion, that edge of darkness becomes a stage. But this cat is not hunting. Not now. She moves like someone remembering, not searching. Each paw touches down with careful certainty, as if she's walked this path 1,000 times, in sun and storm, in frost and fog, and perhaps she has. You follow her, not with your feet, but with your focus. Your gaze becomes quiet, your attention narrow, and in doing so, you begin to see more. A droplet clings to the tip of a blade of grass, magnifying the world in its tiny, trembling lens. A snail presses onward along a mossy brick, trailing a line of glistening intent. A moth flutters near a porch light, its wings powdered like old paper. She pauses, now at the base of a stone wall, her ears flicking once toward the whisper of an unseen bird. The sound barely exists, just the faintest rustle of feathers shifting above. You wonder how many sounds you miss each day, how many stories play out at frequencies just beyond your attention. To a cat, sound is not background, it is landscape. They hear with depth, with range, with purpose. Even the rustle of a beetle's step on bark is a verse in their night song. Her eyes, wide and reflective, capture more than yours ever could. A cat's pupils dilate to enormous ovals in the dark, letting in 6 times more light than a human eye. The darkness that seems empty to you is full of detail to her, layers of shadow, flickers of motion, the soft gleam of a distant puddle. In her gaze, the world is not dark. It is just less loud, and this quiet, this darkness, is her element. She leaps, not high, not showy, just a small hop onto a garden bench, warmed slightly by the last of the sun's touch. The wood creaks beneath her, soft as breath. You wonder how long it's been since you've watched something move without intention to rush. Her stillness is not laziness, it's presence. And presence, you realize, is its own kind of wisdom. As she rests there, the colors around you begin to shift. The sky, once lavender, deepens into a velvet indigo. A few stars blink through early, patient. One by one, constellations stretch into form above the rooftops. You recall that in ancient Egypt, cats were not only pets, but symbols of divinity, guardians of the home, protectors of balance. Bastet, the cat-headed goddess, stood for grace and fierce affection, for music and stillness alike. And perhaps this cat, in some quiet way, remembers that lineage. You watch as she closes her eyes, not fully, just enough to signal ease. Her ears remain alert, swiveling slightly to catch the murmur of the night. Even in rest, she listens. It's in her nature. Feline brains are tuned for curiosity, pattern detection, subtle shifts in the environment. She is not asleep. She is tuned in to something deeper, the hum beneath the silence, and around you the village exhales. The day has folded into its own soft edges. From a nearby window, the clink of teacups. Somewhere, a page turns. A kettle sings once, then stills. These are the lullabies of ordinary peace. You let your shoulders drop, let your eyes rest on the outline of her tail, curling into a question mark. And maybe that's what she is, a question, soft and unanswered. Why does the night feel different when watched from a windowsill? What stories do animals carry in their movement? How does the earth change when no one is rushing to change it? You breathe in. The air smells of lavender, soot, and something green, perhaps mint. You breathe out. The cat shifts, then stands, stretching in a motion so fluid it barely seems real. Her back arches, her limbs extend, her fur ripples. Then she's walking again. You follow. Now she turns toward a hedge thick with honeysuckle and dew, slipping between the gaps like water between stones. You sense that she knows the names of every path, even if she never speaks them. And she leads you toward the place where the village gives way to the fields, where fences end and the sky begins to widen. She pauses there, beneath an old iron lamppost. Its light flickers once, then steadies, casting a faint golden halo that clings to her whiskers and ears. You notice, for the first time, the quiet science of her face. The whiskers, so much more than decoration. They are tuned to air currents, to pressure, to space. Each whisker is rooted deep in nerves, measuring the world like invisible hands. She can walk a hallway in utter blackness and know where the walls are before she touches them. You stand with her at the edge of the road, listening to the hum of nighttime. It is not empty, it is layered. Crickets clicking like old clocks, leaves rustling like quiet applause, the distant whoosh of a car passing far off, a river murmuring to itself somewhere nearby. Each sound arrives like a slow wave, rising and receding, and as you stand there, you begin to feel it too, the pulse of the earth at rest, not asleep, just breathing. The cat looks up. Above her, the first arc of the moon begins its climb, pale, round, and slow. It is a waxing gibbous tonight, nearly full. You remember reading that the moon's gravity pulls not only at oceans, but at the crust of the planet itself, a tidal flex, a gentle reach. You wonder what it does to sleeping animals, to the breath of trees, to the pause between footsteps. She begins to walk again, this time to walk the direction of the fields. The night deepens, your thoughts loosen. You feel each step not on stone or soil, but somewhere quieter, as if your body were walking in two places at once, one in the world, the other in a dream, and you follow still, not because you must, but because something in you longs to know. What else might she show you? What does the wind say from the rooftops? What does moonlight do once it touches her fur? Rooftops and wind songs. The cat steps onto the stone wall like it's a familiar path, not a perch. Her body curves upward, fluid as moonlight. Without pause, she leaps onto a sloping rooftop, a single bound, no hesitation. Her balance is effortless, the kind that comes not from daring, but from deep knowing. You hesitate at first, watching her silhouette against the velvet sky, but then your thoughts, light and drowsy, follow her upward, not your body, just your breath, your mind, and soon you are with her, moving across slate tiles that glint faintly with dew. There's a kind of hush on rooftops that the ground never knows, a pause between worlds. Below, the warm windows flicker like candlelight stories. Above, the stars hold their breath. And in between, you walk beside the cat in a quiet knot of emptiness, but of possibility. She pauses, nose to the air. A breeze lifts and curls around chimney pots and antennae, carrying the scent of old wood smoke, honeysuckle, and perhaps a distant bakery still awake. Her ears flick, not at noise, but at change, at the smallest shift in air, the subtlest rhythm of wind against stone. Wind, you begin to notice it, to how it moves in shapes, not lines. It pulls in corners. It nudges open the corners of eaves. It doesn't speak in words, but in movement, like a language you almost remember. The cat walks forward again, tail raised, her paws silent on the ancient tiles. Slate, you realize, is a rock made from compressed time, once silt at the bottom of ancient seas, now shaped into the skin of rooftops. These tiles have known rain, sun, frost, and footfalls, and now they know her. She steps onto a beam between two chimneys. A small wind vane squeaks and turns above her, slow and deliberate, like it's thinking. It's shaped like a rooster, faded now, its copper green with age. You pause beneath it, watching how it shivers at the edge of every gust. Wind vanes, you recall, are instruments of quiet observation. They don't speak, but they point always to the direction the wind is coming from, not where it's going. There's a lesson in that, perhaps. The cat seems to know it too. She watches the vain eyes narrow but relaxed. Wind itself is nothing more than air in motion, and yet it shapes everything. It carves canyons from stone. It carries seeds across oceans. It whispers through cracks and windows, bringing stories and scents, change and chill. In cities, it tunnels. In forests, it dances. In deserts, it sings tonight. It tells a softer tale, one of old chimneys and mossy tiles, of curled cats and distant tides. The cat turns, moving along a narrow ridge. You follow, in thought if not in step. And as you do, you remember how cats walk, each back paw landing almost exactly where the front one did. It's called direct registering, a kind of careful efficiency that leaves little trace and even less noise. It's a skill shared with wildcats and foxes, with leopards and lynxes. It's not just stealth, it's grace, it's economy. The science of quiet, and it's beautiful to watch. A gust rolls in, stronger this time. It rustles the ivy, climbing the chimney stack. The wind vane spins once, then settles. You hear the soft flapping of a laundry line, forgotten and drying in the dark. Far off, a weather vane shaped like a fish twirls in lazy arcs. She sits now, paws tucked beneath her body, tail curled. Her ears are alert, but she's still content to listen. You sit beside her in your mind and listen to. Wind is made when air moves from areas of high pressure to low. That's all, just a balancing act, a conversation between places, between temperatures and terrain. But here, on this roof, it feels like something more, a lullaby sung by the world to itself. You close your eyes for a moment. The cat remains beside you, a small warmth in a wide sky. Around you, the sounds rise in soft textures, the creak of a TV aerial, the flap of a bird settling into its feathers, the near silent scurry of a mouse beneath the slates. You imagine what it would be like to live like this, always above the rush of the world, among the slow spinning vanes and sighing beams, to know every attic scent and every shifting tile, to sleep where the wind keeps secrets and wake where no alarm dares reach. Somewhere to your left, an old bell rings, not the sharp clang of alarm, but a round, slow toll. Maybe it's from the village's oldest tower. Maybe it's only in your memory. Either way, it echoes through the air like a pebble dropped in a pond of stillness. The cat stands again, pads forward, and disappears behind a chimney. You follow, slower now. As you round the corner, you see her silhouetted against the sky. The moon has risen higher, its light soft and silvery, turning roof tiles into river stones. Her whiskers shimmer. Faintly, she blinks once, then lowers her gaze to the village below. From here, the world feels small. The streets are narrow ribbons. The trees look like watercolor splotches. The sky feels close. She sits again, and this time you notice her whiskers twitch, not from scent, but from sensation. A cat's whiskers are more than decorations. They are finely tuned instruments, vibrici filled with nerves that detect the smallest changes in air and surface, each movement of wind against her face. She reads the breeze the way others read lines in a book. It's a language of pressure, of vibration, of feel. You wonder how many other languages you don't speak. The language of scent, of temperature, of electromagnetic fields. The earth hums in all directions, and you only hear one note. She hears more. A moth flutters past, wings pale and powdered. The cat watches, but doesn't chase. This isn't a hunting moment. This is a listening one. And so you listen, too. You think about how wind is measured, with anemometers, spinning cups, and tiny digital fans. But the cat doesn't need any of that. Her ears catch the rustle. Her fur lifts to the current. Her muscles map each shift. She is a barometer wrapped in fur. You sit longer now. The tiles cool beneath you. Your thoughts slower than they were. The wind curls around your ankles like a friendly ghost. The stars overhead blink gently, barely moving, and still the cat waits for what you don't know. But maybe waiting is the point. Rooftops are not just surfaces, they are borders. Between the human and the sky, between stories told in light and those kept in shadows, they are quiet places that watch without needing to speak. And tonight, they welcome you. The cat stretches once more and begins to walk again. Her path arcs toward an older rooftop, one lined with thick moss, where a nest of sparrows rustles beneath the eaves. She walks with the calm of someone who knows she belongs here. Among the angles and drafts, the echoes and air, you follow. The wind picks up again, cool and kind. It brushes your cheeks, sweeps through your thoughts, and tugs gently at the dreams beginning to gather behind your eyes. The cat disappears behind a chimney once more, her shape melting into shadow. But you do not worry. You know now that she is never far, and somewhere just ahead, perhaps atop the oldest rooftop of them all, she will stop again to listen, not to the wind this time, but to something older still, to moonlight, to stillness, to the quiet sound that light makes when it touches fur. The light she carries. you find her again just beyond the rooftops, where the world begins to open. She has slipped through the lattice of chimneys and slates, stepping down from heights with the ease of a falling petal. You follow, drifting into the hush of the village edge, where fences grow thin and the sky stretches wider. There's no rush now, not in your footsteps, not in your thoughts. She moves toward the tree line, and you recognize the old silver elm before she reaches it. Its limbs spread like slow water in the windless night. It stands slightly crooked, as if leaning in to listen. Beneath it, the ground softens, a patch of earth, half covered in moss, dappled now in moonlight. The cat circles once, then twice, her paws barely pressing the soil. Then she settles, not as a creature trying to disappear, but as one who belongs there. Her shape becomes a stillness that draws the eye, and her breath slows into the rhythm of the night itself. The elm tree seems to lean a little further now, casting its long shadows in silence. You stand beneath its branches, the cool scent of bark and leaves brushing past your nose. The air feels clearer here, less touched by chimneys or footsteps. More ancient, she closes her eyes, and that's when you see it. The moonlight doesn't just shine on her, it gathers around her, caught in the contours of her fur, resting gently on her whiskers, pooling at her paws like milk spilled from the stars. It is as though the light chooses her, folds itself into her quiet. You kneel beside her in your thoughts, careful not to disturb the fragile glow. The moon, above, is nearly full now, its edges softened by distance, its face clear and calm. You remember how light from the moon is not its own. It is sunlight, reflected sunlight, filtered through time and dust, bounced across the gulf of space and returned to Earth in silver. The light touching her now began its journey over 8 minutes ago, traveling 93 million miles from the sun. It struck the rocky surface of the moon, then scattered softly back down through Earth's atmosphere, brushing against leaves, rooftops, and now her resting form. Moonlight is memory. It is light twice traveled, and it falls differently than the sun. It is gentler, more diffuse, like language whispered through a dream. Where sunlight throws shadows, moonlight spills them. Where day sharpens edges, night softens them into story. You feel it in your body now, not the light itself, but the way it wraps the world in stillness. Cats, you know, are among the few animals who can see clearly in this kind of light. Their eyes, shaped like lanterns, contain a mirror-like layer called the tapetum lucidum. It reflects light back through the retina, giving their vision a second chance to catch what little there is. That's why their eyes sometimes glow in the dark. They are not just seeing the night, but sending light back through it. Her eyes, now closed, hold that memory inside. The elm tree creaks gently, a single branch shifting above. You sit beside her now, both of you, still a quiet companionship, held together by breath and shadow. Your thoughts slow, your shoulders loosen, the ground beneath you feels soft, and the air carries the faintest scent of dew. She stirs slightly, not to wake, but to adjust, curling tighter, tail tucked close. You wonder how many nights she has spent beneath this tree, how many moons she has collected silently, without anyone watching. And perhaps you wonder too, how does light live in a creature? Is it just something reflected in their eyes? Or is there something deeper, something that lingers, that stays? She has no need to move. The light moves around her, the earth turns gently, and the moon climbs higher, and the shadows shift across her fur like slow, silver waves. You glance up through the branches. The sky above is scattered with stars now. Not many, just enough to hint at the infinite. You remember that the light from those stars took years, decades, even centuries to reach you. Some of the stars you see tonight may have already vanished. You are looking into time as much as space, and yet here it is, arriving softly, without ceremony, slipping between leaves to rest upon this patch of moss and the quiet body of a sleeping cat. You lean back slightly, letting your gaze blur, letting your thoughts loosen. Cats, you recall, spend more than half their lives asleep. And when they sleep in a way few others do, with one part of the brain always listening. Their bodies melt into surfaces. They do not hold tension, they release it. A practice, perhaps, more profound than it seems. You watch her breathe, the gentle rise and fall of her ribs, the slow rhythm of fur lifting, settling, lifting again. Breath, like light, comes in waves. The elm murmurs again. A leaf falls. Somewhere far off, an owl speaks once and falls silent again. You begin to notice how much is still, not lifeless, not frozen, just resting, waiting, receiving. There is a kind of science to stillness. Even the act of perception is shaped by it. Our eyes adapt in low light, not instantly, but in phases. Rod cells in the retina begin to dominate. Color fades, but sensitivity deepens. The brain recalibrates, slows down, opens up. You feel that shift now. It is not darkness that fills the world, but quiet, a space to notice. Her ears shift slightly, catching the direction of the breeze. Even at rest, she remains part of the world, attuned, aware, and yet completely surrendered to the moment. You rest your hand on the moss beside her, not to touch, just to feel. The earth holds a gentle coolness, not cold, simply honest, a reminder of the air, the stone, the breath of the soil beneath your palm. You feel the slow heart of the planet, or maybe it is your own pulse, softened by stillness. And as the moon climbs, you begin to wonder what it means to carry light, not to reflect it like a mirror, not to chase it like a moth, but to simply receive it, hold it, and let it be part of you. The cat curled in moonlight teaches without trying. She shows you that presence is its own form of brilliance, that stillness is not absence, but attention, that sometimes, to collect light, you must first become soft enough to hold it. You breathe out. A cloud drifts across the moon, and the shadows shift once more. You wonder about the way time passes in sleep, how minutes fold into hours, how memory rearranges itself. Scientists still don't fully understand dreaming in animals, but studies suggest cats do dream small muscle twitches, eye movements, tiny purrs in the throat. Perhaps she is dreaming now. Perhaps she is dreaming of rooftops and breezes, of eve-wrapped chimneys and wind veins turning like slow spinning stars. Or perhaps she dreams of light, not as beams or brightness, but as warmth, as welcome, as something known by the body long before it is known by the eyes. The cloud moves on, the moon returns, a little higher, a little wider. It bathes her again, and this time the light feels thicker, like snow that never touches the ground, or like the hush between two sentences. You watch her breathe, you breathe with her, and now you know the light she carries isn't only in her fur, her eyes, or her paws. It's in her stillness, her quiet, her way of being. And perhaps as you sit beside her, some of that light begins to settle in you too. You close your eyes. The world does not disappear. It softens. It leans in. You feel the moon on your skin, the hush of leaves above, the hush of breath below. And somewhere in the hush, in the moss, in the curl of a small creature who does not need to be anything more than what she is, you understand. You do not need to move to find wonder. You only need to wait, to rest, to receive. And as you begin to drift with her into the comfort of stillness, a thought drifts through your mind, not sharp, not urgent, just soft as starlight. Where does the light go when she begins to walk again? Does it stay with her, or does it rise with the mist, carried toward the candlelit glow of a nearby window where warm hands and old stories wait? The Candlemaker's Cat. The rain begins without fanfare. No sudden clap, no harsh streak of lightning, just a quiet shift in the breath of the world. A gray hush settles over the rooftops and cobblestones, and the air turns cool and damp, like the inside of a cloud exhaling. You walk the old path with your hands tucked in your sleeves, your steps slow, not to arrive, but to be. Each raindrop touches the world like a whispered word, soft, insistent, ancient. The city bends beneath it in peaceful surrender. Market stalls are drawn shut, shutters pulled, footsteps hushed beneath the canopy of umbrellas. And bowed heads, you pass a curled cat on a ledge, fur puffed and ears tucked tight, and it watches you like it knows this rain by name. Past the bakery, the steam that once billowed into the morning is now a mist pressed close against glass, and then, just past the apothecary, between two ivy-choked buildings, you find it, a narrow doorway glowing with amber light, like a beacon lit, not for ships, but for the lost, the wandering, the weather-worn. You duck inside, and the door closes behind you with the sound of the storm being gently turned away. The air is warm and smells of beeswax, rose oil, and something older, a scent like sleep itself. There are rows of shelves, some bowed with the weight of candles, others stacked with ribbons, ink pots, and sealed jars, and at the center, behind a wooden work table, stands the candle maker. His apron is scorched and speckled with wax, and his eyes glimmer beneath a curtain of rain-gray hair. He nods to you without surprise, as though he's been expecting you since before the storm began. And beside him, curled in a woven basket, lies a cat the color of soot and embers. Her eyes are half shut, but she watches you in stillness, the way only a cat can, present and ancient, as though guarding a secret that burns low and eternal. Rain makes her sleepy, the candlemaker says, his voice low and mellow. She likes to be near the heat, even when she dreams. You move closer, your footsteps swallowed by the scent and softness of the shop. The candlemaker lifts a copper ladle and pours wax into a mold shaped like a small lighthouse. The wax glides like liquid light, and you watch it settle, then cool, stilling itself like a breath after a long sigh. He doesn't look at his work as he speaks. His hands know the rhythm of their task too well. Wax remembers, he says. It holds the shape of the fire that melted it, and every time a flame touches it again, it offers up its memory, drop by drop, until it disappears. He glances at you, as if to see whether the thought has landed. You nod slowly, and he smiles, then gestures toward a shelf filled with slender tapers, twisted spirals, and chunky blocks carved like forests. Constellations and rain. Candles are small things, but they are born of patience. Bees gather nectar for miles, build their combs in silence, and make wax slowly, cell by golden cell. Then we shape it, add oil from petals or bark, wait for the pour to cool. Each step is slow, deliberate, like teaching the wax how to hold light without fear. You touch an ivory pillar wrapped in pressed violets. The scent is subtle but lingers, like something half remembered. He turns, selecting a new mold, this one shaped like a moon. The cat stretches slightly in her basket, then settles again, her tail curling like a question mark across her paws. The storm outside deepens, a low hum that threads through the shop like a lullaby. You find a stool in the corner and sit. There's no rush here. Time loosens. The candle maker places a small candle on the table before you. It's shaped like a sleeping fox, curled tight in a coil of wax fur. He lights it with a wooden match, and the flame glows low and golden. Watch what it does. He murmurs, so you do. The flame moves gently, steady, but alive. You see how it sways when you shift, how it leans as if listening to your breath. It does not shout like the sun, or stare like the moon. It whispers, It flickers with memory and motion, always on the edge of vanishing. Fire is language, the candlemaker says, but not a loud one. It speaks in rhythm, in warmth, in absence. We read it not with our eyes, but with our skin and silence. He teaches you, slowly, how different wicks burn, how a cotton thread dipped once burns too fast, but braided linen, cured in salt, holds the flame like a story passed down in whispers. He lets you dip your fingers in cooled wax and feel its echo. Of heat, he speaks of ancient lights, how Phoenicians soaked ropes in tallow for temple flames, how monks shaped beeswax tapers to mark the passing of time in monasteries, how sailors watched lanterns in lighthouses like stars they could reach. There are candles still burning, he says, lit more than a century ago, in tombs, in towers, in chapels buried beneath stone. Their flames have long vanished, but their smoke curled into history. We forget them, but they don't forget us. They mark us in scent, in shadow, in soot. Outside, thunder hums gently, like a yawn from the earth. The cat rises, walks over to your feet, and presses her side against your ankle. Warm, quiet, wait. You don't move. The candlemaker opens a drawer and retrieves a lump of wax carved with dozens of shallow fingerprints. This was hers, he says, nodding at the cat. She once stepped in spilled wax when she was young. I kept it. She gave shape to something that lasts longer than her footprints on the street ever would. The candle beside you gutters slightly, then steadies again. You feel the fire's rhythm as if it's syncing with your breath. You realize you've stopped counting time. He brings out an old book thick, bound in leather, softened by age. Its pages are filled with sketches, flame patterns, wick styles, wax types, and handwritten notes. You read one aloud. Light is patient, and so must be the hand that holds it. The candlemaker nods. I wrote that for myself years ago. I had a habit of rushing things, but fire doesn't rush. Fire waits. It teaches us to slow down or be consumed. You glance around and notice something beautiful. Each candle, even unlit, seems to hold a small silence, a quiet promise that one day it might be called upon to offer warmth, memory, or comfort. They are like seeds of light, scattered through a shop that feels like a pause in the world. And you, sitting there in the hush of storm and flame, become part of the stillness. The candlemaker pours one final mold, then places the ladle down. He stretches, then walks toward the cat, lifting her gently and placing her in your lap. She doesn't resist. She curls once, twice, then sighs into sleep. I think she likes you, he says softly. She doesn't do that for everyone. The room dims slightly as the clouds thicken. He lights one more candle or tall, pale blue taper with flecks of silver inside. This one, he says, is for the moon. It's filled with lavender and birch to smell like sky and frost and quiet. We light it only when we speak of what we cannot touch, but still believe in. You close your eyes. The scent wraps around you like a shawl. The cat's purr is low and calm. constant, a sound that lives halfway between the world of fire and the world of rain. The candle flickers, then steadies, like a heartbeat choosing to rest, and the storm outside eases into a steady lullaby rhythm, tapping the roof in sleep-syllables. You wonder, as the wax pools and the scent deepens, what else in this world once burned with memory, and what it would feel like to follow that smoke. Fields, footsteps, and the old stone path. You step beyond the candlemaker's doorway, and the night meets you with hush and space. The rain has lightened now to a soft mist, like breath on skin. It clings to the edges of leaves and stones, holding tiny orbs of moonlight in trembling stillness. You follow her Selene, the candlemaker's cat who has slipped ahead through the narrow break in the hedgerow. She does not turn to see if you follow. She knows that you do. Her tail flicks once, like a comma in the sentence of this soft night, and then she moves forward, paw by paw, into the wild edge of field and time. Here, the city is behind you, a fading warmth at your back. Ahead, the world opens in silver and shadow. Tall grasses bow under the weight of dew, their stalks brushing your legs like whispers from a dream. The air smells of moss and wood smoke, of stone still warm beneath the skin of the earth. Your foot lands on something solid, a stone, flat and wide, half buried in moss. Another follows it, and another still irregular, but placed with a pattern that feels older than any memory you carry. You found the path, or perhaps it has found you. These stones do not shine, but they gleam slightly under the moon's quiet watch. They are weathered and smooth, shaped not by tools, but by time and passage. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of footsteps have softened their edges. You wonder who else has walked this way, and whether the earth still remembers each one beneath the soles of your feet. The stone is cooler than the ground around it. Stone holds temperature like it holds silence, deep and slow and honest. Each step becomes deliberate. The rhythm of your walking slows to match the hush around you. You are moving through a kind of memory, not yours, not quite the land's memory. You pass under an arching oak whose limbs hang low with lichen. Selene pauses there, weaving between its roots like silk, and you crouch to touch the bark. It feels like paper wrapped around heartbeat, ancient and present, all at once. The rings within it hold stories in silence. Every year, a circle. Every season, a line. Tree rings don't just speak of age, they tell of droughts and rains, of wildfires and calm seasons, of ice and thaw. A tree records the weather, like a journal written in rings, hidden beneath its bark. To read it is to read the breath of time. You think of the stone beneath your feet, how even it holds the rhythm of weather. Frost cracks, rain stains, heat dries. Stone, like tree, is patient. It bears witness. Up ahead, the path rises slightly, cresting a low hill. You climb slowly. Your breath softens. Your heartbeat finds the rhythm of the wind. At the top, you see them, fields spread out like patchwork under moonlight. Some are bare, their soil turned and waiting. Some are thick with cover, crops mustard or the land until the next planting. Others are filled with tall grasses, bending like dancers caught mid-bough, and scattered among them are small stone markers, half-sunk, leaning, softened by rain and time. You approach one. Lichen trails across its surface like faded ink. There's no writing left, but it speaks in presence. Someone stood here. Someone placed this stone. Celine weaves around it, then curls beside a tuft of feathergrass. She blinks at you once, then turns her face toward the wind, letting it pass through her whiskers like a melody. You sit. The path cools beneath you. Above, the sky spreads wide and slow, and you begin to feel it not in your ears, but in your skin, a kind of quiet pulse, the land remembering. Scientists call it soil memory. The earth holds echoes of what it has grown, not just in nutrients, but in microscopic traces, fragments of roots, spores, ancient pollen, strands of fungal thread. They tell of what once lived here. They shape what can live here again. You run, your fingers through the dirt beside the stone. It's soft, fragrant with minerals and decay, alive. In the way things are when they have let go of form and become possibility. Soil is not just dirt. It is a living library beneath each field. There is a network roots speaking to fungi, fungi passing messages to trees, trees altering the chemistry of the ground for seedlings yet to arrive. It is communication in silence. It is a song without sound. You lie back on the stone, and the night sky folds over you. A barn owl calls, soft and hollow, from somewhere behind the tree line. You do not see it. You do not need to. The sound feels enough like a lullaby. Celine steps onto your chest and settles there. You feel her warmth, the weight of her presence, the slow pattern of her breathing. She sleeps as if she has always belonged here, as if this field were a quilt made just for her. You look up at the stars. Somewhere, deep in that sky, light from another world is arriving just now, having traveled for thousands of years. It touches your eyes, slow and silent. That star is long gone, maybe, but the memory of its light remains. Light, too, has memory, a kind that travels, a kind that lingers. It crosses space to remind us of what once was. You wonder if your own footsteps, gentle, quiet, soft as breath, are being recorded somehow by this sleeping field, in the soil, in the stone, in the bending grass and the watching stars. Even sound leaves a trace, the resonance of a voice, or a song, or a sigh can shape the way molecules arrange. There are stones that have sung for so long, their insides hum differently now. Caves where echoes carve the air, places where silence has a memory just as deep as speech. Celine shifts slightly. You stroke her back. The fur is warm and smells faintly of beeswax and rain. You let your eyes close. Just a moment. The hum of the land is beneath you. The whisper of the wind is above, and your body begins to settle into the shape of stillness somewhere below. Roots are speaking, molecules shifting, mycelium threading between the stones. You walked on, they do not forget, and in that thought, a sense of peace begins to grow, that nothing is truly gone, only changed, only hidden in the quiet places, the patient places, the fields that sleep beneath starlight. You hear a faint rustle. Celine lifts her head. The wind has changed. It carries something new, now salt, perhaps, or distant water. She rises, she waits. You follow. The path dips again, this time toward a darker grove, where the air is cooler, moister, and heavy with the sound of running water. A stream, maybe Dot, or the beginning of a river. You feel the earth shifting underfoot, as though it too has turned slightly in sleep. Where moonlight sleeps. The river you followed winds through the edge of the village, its banks soft with moss and memory. By now, the night has deepened, not darker, but denser, like velvet folded over thought. Celine leaps ahead of you, graceful as shadow. She knows this place, each cobblestone, each worn step, each patch of moonlight resting on wooden shutters and sloped rooftops. You walk slower now. The hush of the village feels like a breath being held, a stillness so complete that even the wind passes gently, so as not to disturb the quiet. The houses here are old, nestled close, like sleeping children. Their windows flicker with the last curls of candlelight. Warm little stars scattered across a land of slate and clay, and overhead the real stars, so many, so vast, they stretch thought until it blurs into wonder. Celine stops by a small house with blue shutters, weathered and creaking softly in the breeze. She paused the door once, then vanishes into a crack between the wall and the woodpile. You pause at the threshold, then step inside. The room is dim, washed in the silver-blue light of a full moon that rests just beyond the open window. The curtains breathe gently, pulled inward by the breeze, as though the house itself is dreaming. Celine curls on the windowsill, tail wrapped like a closing parenthesis. Her eyes blink once, then close. You sit beside her. The sill is broad and cool beneath your palms. Outside, the rooftops stretch out like the backs of sleeping animals. And above it all, the moon, full tonight, patient and pale, hangs as if it is listening. Moonlight touches everything: the weathered beams, the polished floor, the dust caught mid-air. It softens every edge, wraps every object in silver kindness. This light does not burn, it does not glare, it glows. You let it fall on your hand, watching the way it coats your skin in quiet. It makes you feel translucent, as though your bones and breath are made of water. And memory the moon reflects, and yet it does not shine with its own fire. You remember that the sun lends its light, and the moon returns it, softened, slowed, a reflection across time and space. Scientists call it albedo, a measure of how much light a surface reflects. The moon's is low, its surface is dusty, gray, rough with craters, yet somehow it holds light with a gentleness that transforms it. You imagine standing there. On that surface, your shadow would be sharp in the airless dark. The sky above would be black. Even while the sun poured down, there would be no atmosphere to scatter light, no breeze to stir the dust, only silence and the earth, rising like a blue lantern in the distance. Celine stirs slightly. In the quiet, you think about how light moves, how it travels at a speed that feels impossible, yet also still takes time to arrive. The moon is just over a second away. In terms of light, when you look at it now, you're seeing it not as it is, but as it was just a moment ago. Even light, swift as it is, has delay. It's the same with stars. Some are hundreds of light years away. Some are thousands. Many of the lights you see now left their homes long before your village existed, long before fields were plowed or stones laid down for paths. Their glow is a kind of time travel, a message sent across the dark, arriving in the quiet moment of your gaze. And the moon, the one outside your window, is caught between these two realms. It is near yet distant, ancient yet always present, cold yet filled with warmth when it visits your eyes. Moonlight doesn't warm you in temperature. Its strength is too slight, yet somehow it warms memory. It touches the place inside you that knows stories. It's no wonder you think that people across centuries have written to the moon, have sung to it, painted it, built calendars around its phases, planted crops by its rise, measured tides by its pull. The moon's gravity tugs at oceans, pulls water across the skin of the earth, raising and lowering tides with perfect rhythm. It's a dance older than cities, older than language, perhaps, even older than dreaming itself. And it tugs at you too, not just in story, but in the actual fluids of your body, the tides of your cells, the quiet oceans of your blood. Celine stretches, then settles again. You wonder if cats feel the moon, if their bodies know its pull the way trees and turtles do. Some corals spawn by the light of the full moon, releasing their eggs into sea currents under lunar light. Sea turtles nest by it, crabs migrate. Even birds have been shown to orient their migrations by the moon's phases, tracking its light like a compass. Humans once followed it, too. marked its changes with chalk on cave walls, with stones aligned to its rise, with lullabies for children born under its glow. You touch the windowsill. The paint is peeling slightly. The wood underneath is soft, shaped by years of wind and light. Even moonlight, gentle as it is, leaves its mark. Outside, a small wind lifts a curtain. It brushes your cheek, carrying a trace of night, jasmine and distant water. You think again of light, how it travels, reflects, bends around corners, slips through glass, rests on sleeping cats, and waits in the dust until morning. And you remember another quiet truth: moonlight is always there, even when it's not. When the moon wanes, when clouds hide it, when your eyes are closed, the light is still moving, still scattering, still arriving somewhere, in some form, like memory, like song, like a promise whispered and sent ahead into time. Celine lifts her head, her ears flick forward. You feel the change to a subtle shift in the hush. The moon has begun to lower. Its curve brushes the edge of the distant hills, where trees become silhouettes against silver blue. Somewhere, a bell rings once, a soft chime in the deep of night. You do not know where it came from, but it feels like a marker, a note of passage. Celine rises and leaps down. Her tail flicks, and she pads softly across the wooden floor. You rise as well. The window stays open behind you. Moonlight drapes the room like a departing guest. Still kind, still present, but beginning to fade. You walk to the door. The village still sleeps, but you know that something new has begun to stir in the dark, the edge of morning, the breath before dawn. Celine waits for you beside the gate. The wind carries the faintest trace of salt. A new path calls, not toward rooftops or candlelight, but toward the place where sky meets sea. And now, let the story fade. Let your breath stay soft and your dreams begin. The moon is still watching, and you are exactly where you need to be. Sleep well.